I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast. And we are on location at the Resourcing Tomorrow conference in good old merry London, England. And today is a typical London day. It is cloudy and wet and miserable out there. And I'm happy to be inside with Glenn Jessome, who is the CEO of Silver Tiger Metals.
Michael, great to be with you and looking forward to having a little chat.
Yes, it'll be good to get caught up and introduce our listeners to your company, your project. You and I have known each other for years.
Long time.
But going all the way back to 2016, you took over Silver Tiger. Yep. I was excited. I knew the old management and the project. It needed fresh breath, and Absolutely. You were a breath of fresh air. And then you kind of disappeared. And I found out, a couple of years ago, you were busy working like a beaver out there. So for our listeners who aren't familiar with the company, let's give them the overview of who Silver Tiger is.
You know what? We first of all, it's about track record. We've been in Mexico almost 30 years. Our group out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, the group has built 3 large mines during that time and have sold 2 to majors. So, to have all of that expertise behind us at Silver Tiger, technically in country, you need that. You need that if you're going to build a mine in Mexico. Number 2, 17, we bought a little public company. We delisted it. We took the asset. We got to work. What do you need? You need a lot of money. Need a lot of money to get to a position where you can build a big silver mine in Mexico. So we were so fortunate. We've raised about $120 million. That wasn't easy during the AMLO administration. It was all raised mainly during that period of time, as he was a little hard on mining, as we know. But the quality of the investor was important, Michael. I like big syndicates, so BMO, Stifel, Ventum, 8 Capital, SCP, all of the banks helped us to raise up the vast majority, 90% of that money from the top long-only precious metals institutions on the planet. Steve Land at Franklin Templeton, Maria at Sprott Asset Management, Joe Foster at Van Eck, Peter Militis over at Merck. They said, here's the money and go to work. So really just get to work. And we did. We drilled hundreds of thousands of meters. And look at us now. We're a big epithermal system. It's going to be a open pit first stage, and then we go underground. PFS all done for the open pit. Back drilling underground, from underground. We developed into the ore body, or half a kilometer in, and drills started turning. I think this week I press released that from underground. First high-grade drill results of the Tiger, which people love. You'll see those in January. But now it's about the build. Build a pit, that cash flow drives the development of the underground, and we're on the way to becoming with the pit, a 5 million silver equivalent ounce producer very, very quickly within the next year and a half, and then another year later, bolt on another 5 million to start in the 800 ton per day underground operation. So everything in the plan. Listen, you know what we're proud of? We did what we said we'd do to this point, and now Mexico's lighting up. And back to business, and we're excited to get this thing built.
Yeah, that's always been one of the things I've respected about you is you tell me you're going to do something.
Thank you.
Come high and hell water, you actually deliver on what's been talked about, and that's underrated in our business at times. You've been on the road. Oh. I've been on the road. Somebody asked me how many show days do you do, and I've sat there and I calculated. I'm going to be at 68 this year. You're way more than that. This is the last show of the year. So tomorrow we're recording us on the Thursday, and tomorrow I get to go on a plane and go back home, and I don't have to go anywhere again for another 7 weeks.
Michael,
I'm looking forward to that.
I hate to say this, but since September, I think I've seen you more than my wife, and it's terrible. But anyway,
I think since September I've seen you more than my wife too, which just doesn't go well.
Look, we've been full on. So we did Beaver Creek. We then did Denver. We've been to New York 3 times. We did New Orleans. I'm just did 1-2-1 in Dubai. Incredible week there. Not just the show, but I had dinners every evening. 12, 15 people. High net worth. Love silver. Saudi government loves silver, and the UAE government loves silver. Going to be some real interesting developments in that part of the world over the next decade. Stay tuned for it. Learned a lot there. And then no rest for the wicked here in London now for resourcing tomorrow. I call it Minds and Money still. They can call it whatever they want. And it's been a great show. And the interest, I've had 3 days of 16 meetings a day. That's a lot of meetings.
That's a lot of meetings.
So it's the interest there, it's coming. And what a perfect time for us to be, ready to build in a time with the prices we have, but also when Mexico's just on the verge of having another mining renaissance, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because there's been a change of government in Mexico, new faces, same party, but the new faces are a lot fresher than the old faces. The old faces were a little difficult to work with. I know that's an understatement by the look of amusement on your face. But this new government seems to be a lot more mining friendly again, and your timing could not be better to be ready to go into production now rather than 2 or 3 years ago when there were stiff headwinds against that. So let's talk about the politics on the ground in Mexico a little bit. And you're awaiting a permit and
a permit amendment. I have a
permit amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And and I know you're pretty ebullient about getting it soon. So let's talk about Mexican politics.
So we'll talk about that. Number one is AMLO's administration was tough. It was a very socialist-oriented government throughout. That's not a bad thing. It's just the ideology they chose to operate the country under. What was really difficult for us was there were no concessions or permits issued at all. There was one small pushback, but through the whole process of 6 years, that was tough. You know what? I'm not apologizing to anyone. A lot of companies were crushed by that in Mexico. A lot of companies stopped. We kept going. We raised $100 million from the smartest long-only precious metal funds in the world. Said, go get the work done because the world will change. Get ready to build. We raised it at lower valuations than we should have, but that's the cards you're played. So all I heard for 3 years, while the last 3 years, especially with AMLO in power, were open pit mining is going to be banned. No, he's already banned it. He did nothing. And I said that for 3 years, screaming in the dark alone, because logically you looked at it, over 70% of the metals come out of open pits. Copper doesn't work. Lithium doesn't work. Most precious metals mines don't work. So if you want to just get rid of mining, get rid of it. Didn't. And then she was elected. Very smart person. Ran Mexico City like a champ. But we saw the change immediately when she started appointing her government. Marcelo Ebrard negotiate the Canada-U.S. Free Trade Agreement with Mexico. He'll do the renegotiation. Pro-business. He got the keys to the economy. And we kind of knew it was going to be okay. I came into October. We saw a little bit of change there when she changed her policies a little bit by removing some of the printed on the website, Mexican website, that she was going to change mining, get rid of mining, open pit mining concessions, ban it. That all went away because we saw a better atmosphere. But really what's happened since then has been even better. The government have been very communicative. They've been openly meeting with mining executives that have mines ready to build. And I said in October, in many podcasts, many videos, people can go look, I didn't think there'd be permits issued in Mexico. They got to get in the seat. They got to get the whole government changes. You'll see some early next year. I've totally changed on that. Not am I saying that I think that there will be permits issued before the end of the year. Now we're being told that by the powers that be in the government. Now, does it get delayed a little longer? I'm not sure, but very, very positive signs. And when those first permits get issued, I don't care who gets them. You're going to see that a total re-rating of all of the Mexican companies across the board. So we're excited about that. And it's gone way better, way faster with respect to mining being driven to the forefront again, to be able to move forward by building mines.
Yeah, I have lots of voices on the ground in Mexico, and rumors have it that there could be a couple permits in time for Christmas. What a Christmas present for the Mexican mining.
We're hearing the same thing. And I don't want to comment on rumors, but names are being thrown around. I will say one thing. Rumors. I would always have thought it would be, and I've said this, maybe some pushback permits, expansion permits. You got Core, and there's word on the street that Core have already gotten theirs. It may not be out there yet. Alamos, Orla. I expected we'd get some of them. I'm hearing that you probably or will see underground permits, and first time maybe some open pit permits. So it's game on in Mexico. Let's just see if Santa Claus brings us a nice surprise. But it doesn't matter if it's before Christmas. I am going to unequivocally say it will happen. If it's not before Christmas, it'll be first quarter of next year. That's what we see.
Perfect. And the plans for Silver Tiger for 2025?
It's we can't slow down. The open pit is done with a bow on it, ready to build. It's a beautiful project. It's really going to be about 15 years, but we optimized the pit at 10. Look at the numbers on this thing. At spot prices, let's talk spot prices. NPV of 350 million. Thing makes 520 million USD over the 10-year mine life, after tax free cash flow. Production costs use gold because it's 70% gold, 30% silver. That's why it recovers so well. $950, low end producer. Silver 12. You come out of the gate making 5 million silver equivalent ounces out of nowhere. But think about it. CapEx 86 million US. That's a 12% contingency in there. So that's done, ready to build. It's going to be easier. It's going to be than most underground mining, low CapEx, and we're going to make 50 million USD free cash flow a year for 10 years, right out in front of us. But remember, the big part of this is that's what we call the flowering epithermal system. The flower is the big oxidized open pit stockwork zone, low CapEx, not a lot of money. The underground at Tiger, in our estimation, we got 100 million silver equivalent ounces in the open pit. We've already got 113 million in the underground with limited drilling. And in our PFS, you go look at it, the independent geologist said, just fill in around the 3 or 4 kilometers of drilling. You got another 100 million of low-hanging fruit silver equivalent ounces right there. So what do? We got to get ready to build the underground, because you build the underground with the cash flow from the pit. In 2026, I expect and hope that I'll have that pit built and cash flowing. I got to catch up with the underground. So very pleased. We've developed deep underground now. We were always drilling from surface. I press released this week that the underground is being drilled from the underground. So 600-meter holes are now 150-meter holes. You're going to see those old high-grade Tiger 1, 2, 3, 10, 20-meter multi-kilo hits coming out in January, and they're not going to stop. But all that drilling is to add more ounces, but put a PEA out on the underground, second part of the project, by first half of 2025. That's aggressive. And then by end of 2025, early 2026, a PFS, which I hope I'll be able to build on, because I'll self-fund it if the pit's built by then. And then you've got your classic Mexican big stockwork zone in production, developing deep underground for the high-grade shale, vein, and sulfide zone. That's the plan. We don't stop. We don't just stop and say, oh, pit's ready to build, let's sit back. No, now let's get the underground. Let's keep going.
Perfect. I always likened your project as an upside down sundae. You had the good stuff up top, but the real cherry was underground. Right. So it was just, instead of the other way around.
Absolutely. That's it. So we love both of them, and both of them fit into the business model. Oxidized pit first, easier, not easy, easier than underground. Low CapEx, huge cash flow. Drive that into the underground so you can build that mine fast and get it in production. We're permitted for the underground. Needed our amendment for the open pit as part of the current permit we have for the underground. Can't wait to get going.
Perfect. This is an exciting story. If people want to keep following it, how do they do so?
Look, I like to update my shareholders. Okay. So you can get on our mailing list, of course, and you see everything. But when I travel, I must do 3 or 4 interviews, videos, a lot of them, stuff with you, and I update on a weekly basis. You go to the website, you go under investor, and you go to CEO interviews. I've probably done 50 this year. I mean, maybe that's an exaggeration, but it's not much of an exaggeration. So just go there, and every week I'm telling everybody what's going on. And of course, we do all of our required disclosure we need, but we like to keep people up to speed. You can buy the stock. We're on we trade SLVR on the TSX-V, of course. And for our American listeners, OTCQX, the highest listing we can have right now, SLVTF. We'd love to have this as a shareholder because here's what's going to happen, Michael. And you should be look all the Mexican miners and look across the board at them. When there's not been a permit since 2016. You think about and we've been beat so down to the very bottom, so undervalued. When that first permit for the pushback for the underground and the open pit comes, it doesn't matter who gets it. These stocks, in my opinion, are all going to re-rate. And just on our stock, just on what we trade to NPV, we should double for just waking up some morning and having a coffee. So that's what's coming. So let's go.
Rah, rah. I look forward to seeing you in the new year back in Vancouver, and we'll get an update again there.
That's what we're going to do. We're the lead silver sponsor for the VRIC. MIF will be there. There'll be lots of people. I look forward to seeing people there. But the last thing I'll say, get home safe and Merry Christmas in case I'm not talking to you.
And best of the new year to you, Glenn.
Thank you, sir.
Silver Tiger Metals is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.